My name is Alyssa Wilen. I'm the executive chef and owner of Chef Alyssa's Kitchen. I've always been drawn to cooking ever since I was really young, not because my family cooks. They're really not into it, but I just started dabbling when I was younger, and then I went to culinary school here at the Art Institute in Charlotte. And after that, started working in restaurants and country clubs. I had my first job at Longview Country Club, and then worked my way up through the industry since I was I was around 18. Just kind of went right in.
So are you a Charlotte native?
Yeah, I am. We moved here when I was like 4 years old, so wow. I'm a Charlotte native.
What do you think sets Chef Alyssa's Kitchen in your cooking classes apart from a couple of the other places that you could do that around town?
The big thing that really sets us apart is the direct connection to the guests. So there's no longer a plate in between me and my guests. I am helping them through the whole steps, the whole process of cooking. So that's really the big differentiators. People get their hands in, they get to cook, and I get to talk about food and taking it all the way through with them.
When you're developing your menus for your class, what items come up throughout the seasons that you get very excited about?
Ooh, well, vegetables in general, but things that get me really excited are eggplant. I love eggplant. I can't wait for like fairy tale eggplant and ají dulce peppers and like greens, like a really, I guess, strong, assertive greens like mustard greens and frisee, and then I love like escarole and rapini and different like Romanesco cabbages, things like that.
For you and for your guests, what's the importance of sourcing items that you can locally?
Yeah, it's extremely important to source locally. We actually built our business inside of the Atherton Farmers Market. So we were right there, and literally every class, most of the classes that I put up online wouldn't even have a menu. They would be whatever I'm gonna get, because the farmers were right there all the time. So now we're a little bit separate from that, but I still have that connection to so many of the farms in Charlotte. It's what I grew to love about food, being in restaurants and cooking with some of the amazing chefs that really were highly local, like Paul Verica and like Mark Jacksina and so many others. It just was like a love, and Tim Grudy. Like there's just so many great chefs that have done that, and to me it became there's no other way to make food. So everything is highly seasonal when we're developing our menus, and I'll make menus that are maybe like 3 or 4 months in advance for a menu that's coming out. So I'm always messaging you about like, when can I expect this? I know I'm looking at like a 2 or 3 week time span. So I like to plan, but I also kind of like to keep things vague and leave it open to if something's not available or if I need to make a substitute. It's actually really educational for the guests too, to know I didn't have this, what can I use? Don't abide by the recipe to a T, and understand what that ingredient brings and why I decided to plan to use it, but what you can substitute. So that's really the fun of it, but it's important. I mean, it's community and supporting people that are doing things the right way and really care about food the way we care about food. And I think it's our responsibility in the industry to use the right ingredients and really showcase them.
For patrons who come in to take your classes, do you feel like you see people get more excited for an exotic or unusual item, or tasting an item that's in season the way that it really should be, like picked at ripeness?
Yeah.
Where have you seen people have moments where you're like, that's it?
Yeah, A lot of times they're surprised by the variety. I try to pick ingredients that are going to be just a little bit different than the grocery store but at the end of the day, if I know they are I want them to go seek that ingredient out themselves. So I need to pick things they can find themselves, or maybe are in peak season, like I was saying, like fairy tale eggplant. Like they're just like so surprised. It's so delicious. It's got this creaminess and this sweetness that they've never had in eggplant. So it's great to see people have an expectation for an ingredient, and maybe it's something they love and they know we're making like a crispy eggplant salad, but they don't really know how good it's going to be because of those ingredients. So when they get it, it's just like so much better. They kind of know that they're going to get really good ingredients when they come, but then they're always surprised by the nuances of those ingredients. Like instead, if I want to use turnips, I'm going to use like hapuri turnips instead, because it's a bit different than what they're going to get their hands on and what they've had before.
Yeah, if they're used to a red round turnip, or the purple waxed turnip, or whatever, and now they're getting a fresh hapuri from boy and girl, it's a big difference.
Yes, exactly. Like I wouldn't know to eat this raw, but now I know that I can. If it's like this good and it's this in season, it's not going to be bitter and too spicy, or if it's I can have it in a different way.
Yeah. So from 2018, since you all have been here, I just feel like the development of South End has come down the road more and more. Have you found that classes have been more popular, or have you always just been a destination once people realized what they were getting when they came to a class?
Yeah, for us it's been a little bit more of a destination because we do offer that unique experience. So I feel like we could be in many other areas of the city and do just as well, but being here and having a place where people, because we're like an event out, it does mean a little bit more in coming here, that you can shoot over to a brewery, or maybe you do something beforehand and you extend that kind of event. So that's the fun of it, and that's what we've always wanted to be in the middle, so we can, maybe not right in the middle, but we wanted to be a place where people don't have to treat us as just the event, and they can do more.
So between classes, catering, camps, private events, people being able to come here and pick meals up, you all offer so many things. From your perspective, who are your favorite types of class attendees or guests that you get to serve?
It's hard to pick a favorite. We have so many demographics and people coming for all different reasons. I like people that come and they're open to things, that they have a good foundation of cooking, they enjoy it, or maybe they just know that their skills are just so that they want to learn more. And I just like the open guests. I like the people that are not too set in their ways, that they can learn a new technique and grasp it and also know how to apply it. So that's my kind of favorite, but at the same time, one of my favorite classes to teach is our beginner series, where we go through 3 different classes, and it's like a mini culinary school. So they learn all these techniques and skills, and they apply them right away, and then I get to see them a few days later, and they tell me what they've done. And then after that series ends, I always see those folks coming back to other classes. So it's like, okay, now I've learned these foundation skills, I want to take a bread class, or I want to take, a more modern cooking class, or Moroccan. Like, they just find those little niche skills that they want to acquire, and they become family. So that's been really, that's one of my favorite things.
When somebody leaves here, what are the things that you really enjoy hearing them say to one another,
Yeah. I want people to walk away with confidence. I love when people first walk into the class and they start opening up their recipe book, and there's about 15 minutes beforehand, and they're talking about what they're about to make, and they're like, we're gonna make all of this. And then by the time they leave, they're like grabbing the recipe book, they are feeling confident to remake it, and it doesn't feel overwhelming. So we just want it to be approachable and unintimidating and really fun. So it's really, that's what I love seeing.
whose food in town are you inspired by? Like, whose food in town do you look at and you go like, I'm so thankful I'm in the city with them, and you're excited to see what they're producing? And then how do you take your influences and make it sort of more approachable, like you're saying, for the average person who's coming in?
That's a good question. So some of the chefs that I really admire and I love the food that they're making, I would say are Shai Farjian. I love Middle Eastern and Mediterranean food, and he just uses spice, and I really love flavors that he's putting together in all the different restaurants. I love Chris Coleman, and I love seeing his menus and how authentic he is with Southern and just like great food. I want to say, because he's joined our team, I love being alongside Mike Knoll. He's just cares about food and ingredients and putting the right touches on the plate, and it's great to collaborate with him. But I love Julia Simon. I order her food a lot at home, and she just does vegan food so wonderfully, and you know, I tend to skew that way when I'm eating myself, so it's just lovely. So it's a nice treat for myself. One of the chefs that I just really admire is like Ottolenghi. I think there's just like so much, the flavors are like incredible. I just get so much inspiration from like different flavor combinations coming, because a lot of what I do is cooking so many different types of food. So I might jump from Thai to Italian, and the scope is just so vast. So I love the idea of pulling so much I've learned from studying different kinds of cuisine and putting them all together.
What is your first memory of Fresh List?
Seeing Jesse walk around the farmer's market.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and he was finding people, just like witnessing him talk to farmers and get to know the ingredients, and then seeing him talk about, oh, I went out to this farm and they're doing things so well, and he's just really changed the game. Like Jesse's changed the game from being able to your list is so vast. I can get everything, and it makes my life easier. And I just know that things are so well sourced. Takes that time out of what I have to do to have a trustworthy source and make it easy.
While you're obviously here and on film, is there anything that you've just that you would like to talk about? Is there anything that we didn't ask you that you would like to say?
Something that I find in food is a little bit of a missing piece that I wish Charlotte had more of, is more of a shop or a co-op. I wish that my guests rely on me so much to tell them where to find food and where to get it. They're not just, because in a class, they're not just appreciating it as if it's being served to them. They're appreciating it because they're getting recipes and they're gonna make it again. So for me, I want more than, like, farmers markets are amazing, and we're so lucky to have farmers markets spread throughout all corners of Charlotte. But I wish there was a little bit more of a shop and a place that had retail that they could go to more, and get things like on the fly and not have to wait till Saturday to go get those ingredients, or maybe their lifestyle just doesn't give them the time to go. I used to be so timid to go out to a table. I would never make table visits in restaurants. It was just like unnerving and so shy. And now, like, I still am outside of my element here, but just working with people takes that love of food and puts it on another level. So I really love it. I really appreciate it. And I'm lucky that we get to do this here, and have partners that help us really make it happen.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Cut. Thanks, Alyssa.
Yeah.